Ahead of Chinese President Xi Jinping's possible visit to India for the BRICS summit in September this year, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval reached Beijing on a crucial two-day visit, with both the countries eyeing a reset in their bilateral ties. Doval and the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will hold the 25th round of special representatives talks on the dispute over the India-China border spanning 3,488 kilometers. Now, during his visit, Ajit Doval will also call on China's Vice President Han Zheng.
At this meeting, the two sides will continue to have in-depth communication on the border issue and jointly safeguard peace and tranquility in the border areas in accordance with the understanding reached by the leaders of the two countries. Also, both sides will exchange views on bilateral relations and international and regional issues.
While relations between New Delhi and Beijing had come under severe strain after the 2020 Galwan Valley clash, both sides have taken steps to stabilize ties. For instance, direct flights between India and China have resumed and the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra has restarted. The last round of talks between Ajit Doval and Wang Yi took place in New Delhi back in August 2025. Back then, they had reiterated the importance of maintaining peace and tranquility in the border areas to promote overall development of the bilateral relationship. On that occasion, they also agreed to reopen trade through the three designated trading points of Lipu Lake Pass, Shipki La Pass and Nathula Pass, and facilitate trade and investment flows. Now, Doval's visit also assumes significance as it may lay the groundwork for Xi Jinping's potential visit to New Delhi for the BRICS summit next month, where he can meet with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, the two leaders last met in China's Tianjin in August last year on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, or the SCO Summit. Back then, PM Modi had affirmed that ties between the two countries are heading in a positive direction. Prior to that, Prime Minister Modi met with Xi Jinping in October of 2024 on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Russia's Kazan. Now remember, 7 years have elapsed since Xi Jinping's last visit to India. Take a look at these visuals from October 2019 as the Chinese president arrived in Chennai for a summit with PM Modi. He was welcomed by traditional dancers and musicians. The two leaders met in Tamil Nadu's Mahabalipuram, which is known for its historic temples and architecture. According to a traditional Tamil attire, in fact, he was adorning a traditional Tamil attire when PM Modi took Xi on a tour around the UNESCO World Heritage listed monuments in this town. Xi, who was dressed in a white shirt and dark trousers, watched an Indian cultural show as well alongside Prime Minister Modi. And then the next day, both leaders had held talks in Mahabalipuram itself as part of their summit. Now, friction between both the countries has been brewing over Arunachal Pradesh. Earlier in August, India rejected China's criticism of its decision to formally identify 27 places in Arunachal Pradesh on official maps. New Delhi stressed that the state is an inalienable and integral part of India and nothing can change this indisputable reality. Recently, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar made India's position amply clear. He emphasized that peace and tranquility in border areas is a prerequisite for good relations between India and China. All right, let's decode this visit by the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval to China. I'm joined by Ambassador Anil Trigunayat. He's a former Indian diplomat and distinguished fellow at VIF. Ambassador Trigunayat, welcome. Thanks very much for sparing us the time. Can I start by asking you how you see this visit, considering the fact that, apart from border disputes between India and China, there has been trust issue as well. And, we have been moving gradually to stabilize our relationship with China. How far has that trust deficit been, covered in these last few years?
Well, I think that ever since Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping met in Kazan on the sidelines of the BRICS summit, since then there has been definitely a better movement, I would say, towards some kind of a stabilization of the relationship. Of course, various other institutional mechanisms, WMCC and others, and now this special representative level talks, which NSA is leading in Beijing, are very important dimensions of carrying forward this relationship. Both sides realize that they are partners, they are neighbors, they need to work out something that should be more palatable. But at the same time, as you rightly mentioned, that the border issue always remains a cantankerous one. It is extremely difficult to resolve, and therefore both sides are talking about it. This is the 25th meeting, as you said, about the SRs. But this is a meeting which is taking place before the visit of President Xi Jinping to India for the BRICS summit. China has very repeatedly said that they support India's hosting of this summit and will contribute to its success. Now, that is also an important thing. More importantly, uh, his visit will also signal that a return of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Tianjin for the SCO summit. Now that we see 7 years later, Prime Minister had gone there, and now after 7 years, we see President Xi Jinping coming here. Despite all the rifts and problems that we had since Galwan, the trade between the two countries have continued to grow, and apparently uh, President Xi Jinping will be accompanied by a very huge delegation and about 400 odd businesses who will be coming here. In the meantime, ever since India has tried to relax the Chinese investments, what we have witnessed is more than $500 million from China has flown into the country. So it looks like that the Chinese are keen to normalize ties with India, especially as the things go on. But trust deficit is something that will take some time to prove itself, whether it is
Yes.
there or not, because there are so many changes that are taking place in the whole global dynamic,
Yes.
which
So,
will also have
in
an
that
impact
very
on this
context,
bilateral issue.
Ambassador Trigunayat, the fact that, there are changes taking place, new dynamics are coming in the new world order. India and China have been competitors in the global south. Have we now, and would it be right to say that both countries have now sort of found their respective spaces in the region and the global dynamics?
Well, as you know, that this is a dynamic, the world web dynamic itself says that nothing is static. Therefore, this is not that there is a fixed space or a strategic space that each country has acquired, because both our countries' approach to the global south is very different comparatively. I mean, the Chinese have their own style of reaching out to the global south or claiming its leadership. On the other hand, India follows this policy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and tries to help them. And there is a benign kind of an approach to the global south for the leadership. Despite that, whether it's in BRICS or in the SCO or any other international organizations, both countries have tried to work for the benefit of the global south. So I think that this is not necessarily a competition for the strategic space in that sense, because it will depend on those countries towards whom they will look up to. So that is something I believe is more important in this, but this is not fixed or fixated.
All right, we'll leave it there. Ambassador Anil Trigunaya, thanks very much for joining us at the moment on WION and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.